Hello everyone and welcome back to round 10 of season 6 of our F1 24 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend for the second sprint race of the season. We're here on the Styrian Mountains for the Austrian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a few days ago from Barcelona, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Things are getting very, very exciting in the World Championship, and obviously last time out we saw a very first new winner in the sport as well. Enzo Fittipaldi, he's had a pretty tough time of it so far this season, but he got his first ever Formula 1 podium, and in doing so as well got his first ever Formula 1 win, almost similar to Max Verstappen vibes back in 2016. Charles Leclerc still leads the way though with a 5-point gap now over George Russell. There is 5 cars from 5 different teams making up your top 5 at the moment. Oscar Piastri, it seems like Ferrari are getting into the swing of things. The momentum is slowly building for them. Fernando Alonso, just always consistent inside this game, just ahead of ourselves. And I think, you know, as we head in towards the second half of the year, we've got a lot of very, very fast tracks coming up. I think if we could just stay somewhere near championship contention, I would probably be quite happy. But obviously anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does. Get yourself subscribed if you're new. We're trying to hit 140,000 subs here on the channel. And also, you know, if you enjoy the content we do and you want to help support us just a little bit more, if you click the join button, you now get access to most videos 1 day early as well. It's £1 a month, so 3 pence a day. So yeah, like I said, it's something that massively helps us out here. Obviously, YouTube can be a fairly unstable thing, so just knowing, you know, that little bit extra is coming in helps, you know, do everything that we're doing. But anyway, yeah, let's head out then. Timestamps will be linked down below. Obviously, a sprint weekend, it's going to be a login, so hopefully we can get some big points.
Hello everyone, welcome to Austria. It is a short track, it is high speed, it is exactly what we enjoy for qualifying.
Well, Austria often has been a very, very good track for Haas in IRL. Formula 1 seems to always be a place that they can get the car hooked up, and, you know, often I think they've had their best ever result around this circuit in real Formula 1, and often, you know, it is one of their highlights of the year, so hopefully that will continue inside this series as well, of course. As we move into sprint qualifying though, again, this is definitely not where this car is at its absolute strongest. It's getting no traction down up over the top of the hill. Didn't want to risk it and light up the rear end there, and you can see Lando Norris, he loves this place, flying along. So does Max Verstappen though, the other man I was going to mention here. As we make our way down in towards the final sector of the lap. I mean, we're not that far away from your front runners, but it is so tightly bunched. Oh, I've double shifted accidentally as well. It's just going from bad to worse. Luckily it's only sprint qualifying, not the real thing, but this has been a pretty terrible qualifying lap. In the end, just trim the apex through that final corner. We recover a bit of time through the high downforce stuff. P12 on the grid. Why, as soon as I want to believe there's a title hope, do we start being useless? Well, there we go then. Despite that bad effort, we still end up going quicker than Pierre Gasly by 0.02 of a second in the end, but Norris takes the pole ahead of Verstappen and George Russell. Top 3 they're covered by just 0.03 of a second. Ferrari, again, they seem close but not quite there in terms of 1 lap pace. Oscar Piastri in 4th, last weekend's winner Enzo Fittipaldi down in P7. But yeah, I think, you know, it could have been better, it could have been worse. We're in a fairly decent position to hopefully get some points in the sprint.
It's not going to be easy to get another point-scoring finish from here, but give it your best shot.
Well, we need to try and keep getting those point-scoring finishes. We need to try and keep the momentum going. Obviously, like I said, it's really odd. We've done so many races from the first half of the IRL calendar that the second half of the season is going to absolutely fly by in this series as well. So, yeah, we've just, like I said, we want to just stay close, you know, mathematically to the World Championship. If we could somehow get to Vegas with a shot, I'd be very, very impressed there. 5 red lights, though, here on the grid for the sprint. And it is going to be lights out, and away we go there, off to a fairly decent getaway there. Gasly will get the jump on me. Whoa, into turn 1 and almost completely cover me off in towards that first corner. There was an Alpine on the outside. Someone's damaged their front wing as well. A little bit further up in front. That might have been Fernando Alonso. I just saw, yeah, some end plate going under one of the other cars there. So I think one of those Alpines, perhaps lucky not to pick up some front wing damage. There's already yellow flags out at the top of the hill. But it seems like a lot of teams, 2 by 2 they go, especially in the second half of the field there. But looks like Oscar Piastri's moved up to 3rd, so I would assume he's got the jump on George Russell. As I just make a little bit of a mistake, they get a tiny bit of contact with... Yeah, I think that's damaged my wing, but not his. So a little bit of a stupid one to try and make on that one. Austria, again, is just one of those tracks where I've never seemingly had much luck on this game. But yeah, this will be the big test then, as we make our way in towards the final couple of corners. The car does feel absolutely fine though, so I don't think we're going to have to worry about that front wing damage. Because yeah, Lando Norris will lead the way then at the end of the first lap.
You can use it when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
But yeah, Esteban Ocon though, obviously went for that big send down at the first corner. He needs to try and start racing and able to keep up with Yuki Tsunoda. So he's going to try and go defensive up at the top of the hill. No, I tried to have a look down the middle of the Alpines there, and that was a gap that was always going to shut. So yeah, Esty Bestie, not afraid to get his elbows out this afternoon. So we'll try and have a look. Oh, what is that? You can't just move across someone when there's a car there, Esteban. As can we try and go back around his outside and move back to where we qualified? They're barely hanging along with the Alpine, but down the inside we'll go. And we are back into P12.
Caution.
Oh, we've got yellows. We've got yellows. I think Verstappen's span. I think Verstappen's span from the lead of the race, and we can see a red flag here. There we go. I mean, look at that. It only affected the top 3.
Everyone's okay.
How bizarre is that then? So Verstappen went for a spin. Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri got caught out by it. But everybody else able to find a way through. So suddenly your top 3 that had already built up a huge lead at the start, they're going to have dropped out of the points, I think. I think we might even be ahead of them.
Get a nice advantage here. Let's have a think about how we handle the rest of this race.
Well, I'm definitely going to be bolted on a set of soft compound tyres to get to the end of this one. Only got, what, 8 laps left of this sprint race. Where are we going to be restarted? Damn it, it is still P12. So Verstappen hangs on inside the top 8. 5 red lights and it's lights out and away we go yet again. And I guess luckily for me we will get that front wing change there, as suddenly now the Austria sprint is going to feel even more frantic than it did beforehand. Can we get a run on Oscar Piastri out of that first corner? I've got no idea. I would assume it's George Russell then that has been gifted the lead in this race, but I think he's had a bad start there, and it's Enzo Fittipaldi fighting for the lead as well there. So Fittipaldi going up against, I believe, Lewis Hamilton. That might be right at the front of the order there, as again, somehow we found ourselves alongside Pierre Gasly as we make our way down the hill. You can see Verstappen already trying to get the elbows out. He is not happy with the mistake he made there. But yeah, Oscar and Lando, former McLaren teammates. Oscar Piastri, there's no loyalty anymore. Right, come on then, let's try and see if we can get a run on Lando out of the first corner. Doesn't feel like we've got the straight line speed I was hoping for this weekend. So everybody braking a little bit earlier than I was expecting. We will go 3 wide up at the top of the hill there. And I mean, Lando, that was very audacious. I kind of had to avoid him there. At the kind of compromise of Oscar Piastri. We're still 3 wide on the exit of the corner. As that Ferrari coming through very quick. But again, we've got the softer compounded tyres. We've got to use that softer compounded tyre. And we are up into 10th. Oh, Yuki Tsunoda, I think he's only just dropped out of the DRS range of Verstappen in front of him. And yep, look at that, the DRS not opening then for the Alpine man. And how many times have we battled with him this year? So try and have a look to the outside, up towards the top of the hill. Make sure that we get ourselves back in the range of Verstappen in front. As there we go then, and just outside of your points here. We've got more yellow flags out. Who's now breaking down in this Grand Prix? Is that a car behind? I think it's got to be a car behind, surely. Esteban Ocon.
Okay, it looks like the problem's terminal. They're retiring the car.
Whoa, oh, someone else. No? How much? Oh, yeah, it is. George Russell. Second weekend in a row, George Russell is going to be out of the Grand Prix. There's one car abandoned there, one car abandoned on the other side of the road. And all of a sudden we are into the points then of the Austrian Grand Prix sprint. This is just ridiculous. And poor George Russell, he has just had no luck. Ever since that mistake in Imola, it feels like nothing can go his way. Where on earth is Oscar Piastri getting that speed from? That Ferrari is, whoa, so insanely fast in a straight line there. As he tries to kind of park it on the apex through that penultimate corner. 2 laps left to go then of the Styrian sprint. You can see now there is a battle at the front of the order, so the other Ferrari, Enzo Fittipaldi, if he can bag another win here, that'd be incredible. I know it's only a sprint race, but I'm sure he would still absolutely take it. So we make our way back up the hill, though. I think we've just got to be sensible here and time our move on Oscar, because if these guys keep battling up in front, he might genuinely still be able to get back in the DRS.
Let's go, final lap.
There we are then, last lap of the sprint, and it feels like a lot has gone on inside this race there, but as we make our way back at turn 1, yeah, those guys in front, they are still battling very, very aggressively, but I don't think we're going to be able to get a look in there, as we will get a look into the inside of Oscar Piastri. I mean, I was down the inside, and he just, I think, was a little bit shocked there and tried to turn in. He has picked up some front wing damage, though, in the process, as again, Lando Norris thinks about trying to make it 3 wide into the next corner. He has made it 3 wide. What on earth is that? Lando Norris there barging me like pinball down into Oscar Piastri there. As I mean, I'm not having that. I'm absolutely sending it back up the inside there. And Lando Norris, you can try it, but you're not going to get away with it there. In towards the final few corners, though, I think it might be Charles Leclerc that is going to win this thing, unless Enzo Fittipaldi in through the final couple of corners. Can he make something happen through that final turn? No, he can't. I think it's Charles Leclerc who takes victory here, but the gap must have been minuscule. Well, there we go then. A lot of contact on that final lap. And like I said, you know, we went down the inside of Oscar. I think he was a little bit surprised, so turned in where he normally would. What on earth Lando Norris was trying to do, though, down in turn 4, I've got no idea. Because he just, I mean, he just pushed me into him, didn't he? But Charles Leclerc then takes the sprint win by just 6/100ths of a second over Enzo Fittipaldi from 7th on the grid. It really does seem now like the Brazilian is getting into the swing of things here. Lance Stroll in 3rd, ahead of Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez there. 6 cars covered by less than a second at the end of that. That is absolutely insane there. Verstappen in 7th, and we come through for P8. In terms of the championship then, well, it's going to be Charles Leclerc now has a 13-point buffer at the top of the table. Neither George Russell or Oscar Piastri able to score, though, in that race as well. And the gap from us to the top up to 38. Constructors-wise, Mercedes now 3 back from McLaren. Leclerc is really dragging that team along right now. But anyway, we know we've learned a lot about the car during that. We've got a better idea about what's going on. Let's head into the real thing. Well, I've made a few setup tweaks to the car then that'll hopefully make it just a little bit quicker as we head into the race. But the more important thing is that we need to try and nail our qualifying lap this time round and hopefully start a little bit further up the order. We all know this circuit is dominated by those 3 DRS zones. What circuit isn't inside F1 24? But yeah, we just need to try and make sure that we are nice and quick and, you know, fighting up towards the front there. George Russell, I would assume he'll serve some grid penalties as we head into the GP today. So yeah, he needs to try and qualify as high up the order as he can. So he starts as high up the order as he can there. But yeah, first half of the lap again, we seem to really be struggling to keep up with the AI's pace there. I'm running slightly less wing as well to try and make sure we're more competitive in a straight line. It's not doing me any favours at the moment. Half a second away from the McLaren man as we make our way down towards those final couple of corners. Down just 1 gear through the first part there. We get a huge snap though from the rear end. So a little bit of understeer through the second. A bit sloppy at the end of the lap. It is P7 though, so that is a decent improvement. I don't know what it is about this game, but it always just feels like the front end of cars is so non-compliant around this circuit there. But George Russell, he will take pole position once again then, this time around nearly 2/10 clear of his teammate Lando Norris. Max Verstappen in 3rd ahead of Oscar Piastri, and championship leader Charles Leclerc only in 5th place. Stroll though did a better job than Fernando Alonso there, so he's looking pretty good here. But anything can happen as we head into the GP, so let's just try and survive.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or the other has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. 700 metres above sea level, 10 corners and one of the shortest laps of the season. 2.6 miles with some good overtaking opportunities, but you've got to get the braking right into turn 1 and turn 3. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who will start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, Stroll, Firestarter, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Perez, Fittipaldi, Gasly, Iwasa, Albon, Ricciardo, Behrman, Vesti, Joe, Russell, and Esteban Ocon lines up at the back of the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Okay, let's see if we can keep this momentum up. Let's get another points finish.
Well, here we are then down on the grid, ready for the Austrian Grand Prix then. Looking forward to this one. We've had a lot of bad races though here in the past, and I think 2 of them have been caused by the man alongside us there, Lance Stroll. Yeah, certainly given me some trouble around this circuit before, so my goal today is just to try to avoid him early on there. 6 cars from 6 different teams make up your top 6 as we wait for the 5 red lights here at the Austrian Grand Prix. No hold at all there. It is suddenly going to be lights out and away we go as Oscar Piastri has responded very well. Whoa, to that at the start. Not too sure what that little try and shift over Lewis Hamilton was attempted to pull in towards that first corner, but we have lost the spot then to him as Verstappen will lead this race up the hill in towards turn 3. So I think that was Alonso trying to go for a rather aggressive move. Yuki Tsunoda behind me, banging wheels with Sergio Perez as well there, so everybody just getting a little bit aggressive early on. We will try and return the favour on the Spaniard though and reclaim that 7th place then, as I mean Verstappen made that mistake in yesterday's sprint race, so clearly not entirely confident with that Red Bull car. Oscar Piastri though moving straight up into P2. Can he go in hot pursuit of the Dutchman at the front? Well, if you're a Max Verstappen, if you're an Oscar Piastri or a Lando Norris, your goal now has surely just got to try and be to finish ahead of Charles Leclerc. He's been quietly consistent, quietly brilliant this year, of just constantly edging away in the championship at the top of the order there. As you can see, Oscar and Lando trying to battle wheel to wheel. We've seen quite a few battles between these two this year. The former McLaren duo not afraid to get the elbows out against one another. But yeah, Verstappen doing what he does best here in Austria. That's just trying to pull away at the front of the order there as well. So close to banging wheels. Lando Norris, can he go the long way around though? Yes, he can. What a move that is. But yeah, we just need to try and stay close to these guys. My goal as well, like I said, is just to finish ahead of Leclerc. Start bringing that gap back down. I'm expecting some chaos up in towards turn 3 because, well, this is F1 24 and chaos is always what happens inside this game. To the outside of Sir Lance. See Oscar Piastri there will make the move happen. There's Lance there down the inside of Leclerc. You can sometimes kind of bait the AI into going to moves against each other. So I just could not quite commit to getting the throttle down on the exit of the corner there. To the inside, though, of the Canadian. A little bit later on the brakes. Make sure we get it slowed down. And again, we are through. And again, we are back up then into P5. So our Lance again. Oh, mate. That was a brave attempt. Oh, Norris again. Try and have a look to the outside, to the inside of Oscar Piastri. And again, they bang wheels. Surely those two, if they keep going like this, one of them will have to lose front wing at some point. As Leclerc and I now focusing on our own battle just behind. We've got the former McLaren lineup going against the former Ferrari lineup here. Obviously, Leclerc looking to try and win a world championship with Mercedes. I'm sure that's never happened before. That 2 drivers have won back-to-back titles with one team, and then have gone and won back-to-back titles with another team straight after. Someone will have to let me know down in the comments below, but yeah, I don't think that has ever happened in Formula 1 there. But making that move on Leclerc, that actually allowed Lance Stroll to get by him as well, so that works really nicely. And this is the one part of the circuit where I feel pretty confident. I mean, I was trying to have a look to the outside of Lando, but clearly he thought otherwise. Down the start-finish straight there. Where else did he really want me to go in that scenario? But again, to the outside then of the McLaren. The tweaks we've made to this car really working early on.
Keep going. Okay, mate.
So there's someone's lost wing. I think that's Lando losing wing.
Keep those tyre temps under control.
Yeah, and that's the other problem. We're really struggling with tyre temperature actually around this venue, as we'll try and catch Oscar Piastri by surprise. Yeah, Norris then, I believe, like I said, I think has lost some front wing there, so he might be very compromised. And now we are up into P2. Oh, I mean, Oscar Piastri. Now, actually, to be fair, Lando Norris has dropped almost out of the range, so this could work really nicely for us. Haven't worked with the Australian much this season, but if we could just play the DRS game with each other, maybe, just maybe, we could get back to Verstappen. That gap's floating at about 3 seconds, so that could be ideal. So yeah, this is exactly what we need to do. Just hope that Oscar Piastri will work with me in this, but just try and get the run on him up towards the top of the hill. Pray that he won't try and go wheel to wheel with me on the exit. And then again, he's much quicker through the rest of the lap, so I will let him get the DRS, just go straight back past me. And hopefully it's going to mean the gap to Verstappen comes down. It might just be that the Dutchman is too fast. I've no idea what's happened to Oscar Piastri then, but he seems to have technical gremlins now. Suddenly has dropped away from us very early on here. That gap now up over a second. He's actually falling back into the clutches of Lance Stroll behind. So, yeah, it must have some kind of issue in that Ferrari car. But it kind of feels like we were worried so much about the slipstream and things here. And by lap 10, we're now in no man's land. Well, the team already saying then they want us in. Yeah, there you go. I'm not so sure just yet. I feel like this race is... I want to believe it's giving us Montreal vibes. From a couple of rounds ago, where we're just level on pace with Verstappen, and then hopefully in the second half of the race we can start reining him in just a little bit. I think if we can extend this stint to like lap 20, yes, we'd obviously be on the same compounded tyre as him, but maybe, just maybe, the fresher rubber could help us out towards the end of the afternoon. I'm kind of looking at it going, the gap to Stroll and Leclerc is staying at about 5 seconds here. I don't think we're going to be under much threat from them. I just want to try and fight for victories wherever we can. And there we go, Max Verstappen into the pit lane then. So yeah, he's just focused on doing his own thing. Maybe Montreal just simply isn't on his mind right now, especially if he knows he's got more pace in that Red Bull in the back pocket. But I guess the only other hope for us is that perhaps he comes out in some traffic. Doesn't really look to be much traffic at all in this Grand Prix, considering this is Austria. Everybody is spread out, actually, pretty impressively, so I think a couple of cars with front wing damage have massively helped with that. But Verstappen, I think, is just going to be out ahead of Lando Norris, who, of course, has got wing damage. Oh, we've got yellows, we've got yellows. If we've got a safety car now, that would be perfect for us in this GP, and that was kind of the only other reason I thought we might be worth staying out here. Someone is definitely breaking down. I think that might be an Alpine. Don't tell me it's Esteban Ocon again. We could be getting a double mechanical failure. This weekend, he's definitely running slowly. What on earth is going on there? I think we've got a Williams as well with issues. It's Sonoda at the Grand Prix, and we've got a virtual safety car. That does work fairly well. I mean, we had to just try and gamble it, didn't we? We had to try and stay out a little bit longer, see if we could do anything against Verstappen, but let's try and be really, really cheeky then. As you can see, Sonoda abandoned on the side of the road, but as we make our way into the pit lane then, are we going to be able to gain just a little bit of time on Verstappen here? Surely we will. Make sure we get the car slowed down nice and tidy on the way in. Why are the team changing the wing? Eh? Well, we've got no front wing damage whatsoever, so I'm not too sure how that works. I mean, I guess we're doing this under VSC, and they're not changing the wing. I have no idea how that works, but anyway, making our way then back out. We have been given a lifeline, and we are going to be on fresher tyres than Verstappen. He is out in front of me, but can we get within the 1 second zone? We're going to have to use plenty of battery as we make our way up and towards turn 3. He will know that as well, though. But suddenly, yeah, the VSC there has absolutely brought us back in for a fight. Well, I think Verstappen maybe just worked those tyres too hard earlier on in the stint. Luckily as well, we're having no problems with overheating in the second half of the race. Now we've opted for those harder compound, and look at that, lap 24. We are inside the DRS range, lap 25 now. So a 2/3 distance, a race that I thought might be very lonely after lap 10, courtesy of Yuki Tsunoda, has suddenly got very, very exciting here. And what does Verstappen do? Does he let me through and just try and hang on? Does he try and hold me up? We got more yellow flags. Is that McLaren breaking down? Don't tell me that's Lando Norris now breaking down. It can't be George Russell again, surely. He's too busy looking at that as to where I should be going. Maybe he can get into the pit lane there. Maybe, yeah, I think it's just a puncture. So, I mean, McLaren have had an absolute disaster this weekend. And, well, if that's George Russell, his season just going from bad to worse to... Well, I mean, he's still inside the top 3 overall, but how can you build back up the momentum if you're that McLaren team right now? But to make our way then to start lap 26, still inside the range.
And you're going to be on mediums.
I've got no idea which McLaren that is. I guess it's Lando, surely, because obviously he was the one with front wing damage early on. But it's not often a car goes a lap down inside this series. That's exactly what has happened today, though. As to the outside of Verstappen we will go. And we try and get the power down.
Really good job on hitting that target, mate.
Yes, we can. Around the outside, we'll cut back in front of him. And even better than that, we got the DRS. Well, this is the horrible thing about Austria. You might have the advantage in terms of raw pace against your rival, but if they've got the DRS, there's basically nothing you can do there. As Verstappen again, we'll have a look at the inside at the top of the hill. This time around we'll have to give him some room, as we are the one with the DRS there, but that Red Bull still looking very, very racy. Will force him on a defensive line now. Wanted to try and do the old up and under. He just parked it beautifully, though, as the gap behind really opening up. Stroll could be on for a... I mean, he does look on for a podium at the moment. He's got about a 5-second lead over Hamilton, Alonso and Leclerc. Right, come on then, let's try and get the run out of turn 1 to the outside of Verstappen yet again. I mean, we're just starting to get towards the end of this race. We're having to start thinking more strategically about when we go for these moves.
Mate, that brings you up a place.
So that time around, it'll be the Dutchman then that has got the DRS, so I'm sure he will try and get the run back on me. There definitely seems to be more of a sense of desperation from Max than myself right now. He feels like he needs to be in P1. I'm kind of flexible with it. I mean, look at Ferrari. Neither car anywhere near the, the point scoring order right now. In fact, one of them just had to dive into the pit lane here. So McLaren and Ferrari, arguably two of the strongest teams inside this game right now. And it looks like, well, they're barely going to score points between them here. They might even have a car each that's a lap down this afternoon. Really has been a wild weekend so far here in Austria there. I was not too sure whether that's Fittipaldi or Oscar Piastri, but either way, it is not ideal there as well. Verstappen, too worried about trying to defend the inside line there down at turn 1, and that really cost him as we will try and pull away, use the battery as we make our way up the hill. As crazy as it sounds, we've got to be careful that we don't battle too hard and let Lance Stroll in. Oh, Verstappen again to the inside he'll go. The Dutchman there trying to make it happen late on in the day. Again, I feel like there's just a bit more desperation from Max than there is from myself right now. But, I mean, that's the one bit I'm worried about. It's the amount of dirty air you pick up through some of these corners. That Red Bull very, very efficient through the corners. Somehow it feels like we haven't had enough aero or straight line speed this weekend. Although again, the setup tweaks we made for the race have absolutely helped us out here. But yeah, George Russell watching on. I wonder who he hopes will win this one. Might even be, I mean, he doesn't like Verstappen, but we have denied him a World Championship last season. Clearly he wants Max to win, because we're lapped down, and he's trying to get past me there at turn 1. That is not what we need to see. So I'm going to try and again put Verstappen between us both in this race. The Dutchman will once again swing defensive. Well, this is really turning into a Canadian Grand Prix, isn't it? Two world champions, maybe not with the best cars on the grid, but absolutely driving to the best of their ability, putting on a show, but just beating out a lot of the main protagonists. Oh, again Verstappen I mean, how? How do you get the run down there as well, banging wheels? That was not what we needed to do there. I mean, if Russell tries to go for it again, I might just have to turn across him and hope that he backs out, because I can't deal with that behind of a lapped car there. I mean, if I can understand it earlier on in the Grand Prix, but with 3 laps to go, he's not going to be able to do anything else, is he, in this battle? So, once more, we will look to the outside of Verstappen. Once more, I'm going to really try and force him on a defensive line there, and then open up the apex for myself to get the power down. Oh, just struggling once more with the wheel spin, but that's worked out really nicely. Gap opens up to over half a second, but it's still nowhere near enough. Oh, okay. Russell, I think, tried it again on Verstappen. I think he's going to deal... No, he hasn't got lap traffic, of course. That's the Ferrari behind him. So, yeah, still obviously a Ferrari and a McLaren a lap down in this Grand Prix there. But that almost worked out beautifully for me, as the gap to Verstappen now up to 0.7 of a second. It's a little bit early, but if we can run now and just use the battery here... There we go, the gap's up to a second. I think Verstappen is starting to struggle towards the end of this. And if we can keep the range up now, this is fantastic for us. Well, Max Verstappen will be absolutely fuming with that. George Russell, I still don't know which Ferrari it is. I think it's Fittipaldi, but it could be Oscar Piastri. Just battling around him there and really slowing down the Red Bull man. And of course, because we were no longer battling, you know, they felt confident enough to try and go for it there. So we asked the question, who would Russell rather see win? Well, I think that's answered it for us, because Russell has potentially handed this to me on a silver platter here as we start the last lap of the Austrian GP. I'll be honest, it's felt like throughout most of the Grand Prix this weekend, we've been on the back foot. It felt like we've struggled at the pace against a lot of the other drivers, but luckily the sprint has allowed us to tweak and adapt to the setup. We got lucky in the early laps, we got lucky with the VSC, we've got lucky with the fact that, I mean, look at that, the Ferrari now trying to battle with Verstappen. Sometimes in Formula 1, you just need a bit of luck to go your way, and we certainly had our fair share of bad luck inside this game as well. But through the final corners, here at Austria, it's a track that Haas have always gone well at, and we're going to continue that form today. 2 more corners to go. We have beaten Verstappen in front of an adoring Red Bull crowd. It is going to be P1 here in the Styrian Hills.
Yes, guys, yes! Come on, boys! Oh, superb driving. That is the race win, my friend. Well done.
Well, they are celebrating in Spielberg, a deserving winner of the Austrian Grand Prix.
They had to be decisive with their overtaking today as they worked their way through the field. And those kind of race victories are so enjoyable because it's not just like winning from the front. They really had to work for it today.
Today was another great race and an even greater victory for Haas. Here they come now to step out onto the top of the podium. They'll be incredibly happy with today's result.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Austrian GP weekend. What an absolutely wild one it was there, and, well, I think that should go to show how wild it was. Lance Stroll scored the 2nd most points here from 2 third-place finishes when all is said and done. I mean, that points tally is wild there, but 2 seconds clear come the checkered flag against Max Verstappen. Stroll in 3rd ahead of both of the Mercedes there. Alonso, Perez, Gasly gets another 4 points on the board with Norris and Ricciardo there rounding out the top 10. Alex Albon barely missing out on what could have been Williams' first points, I believe, of the year as well. And look at that, Ferrari 15th and 17th. McLaren 9th and 18th here, with both Japanese drivers failing to see the checkered flag. A crazy weekend, and just one that even a lot of the AI seem to struggle at as well. What does that do to our championship standings? Well, it means Leclerc now has a 25-point lead over both George Russell and myself. So we're up into third then, ahead of Oscar Piastri. Verstappen and Alonso also tied a little bit further away. I would still make the argument, though, that we've got a six-way fight in the championship. Gasly, with that result, bumps himself up into P13 overall as well. And yeah, Ricciardo, again, another point on the board. Still just leaves both Williams and both Kick Sauers there yet to score. Constructors-wise, Mercedes now a 17-point lead at the top over McLaren. Aston Martin now with just a 30-point lead over Ferrari. And Haas, we are closing in on Red Bull pretty quickly at the moment as well. So if Gasly can start bringing some better results, anything is going to be possible here. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Like I said in the intro, if you want early access to these videos as well, consider hitting that join button as well for just £1 a month. But yeah, we'll be back very soon, ready for, I believe, our home Grand Prix back at Silverstone.